Sweet friends, welcome to it. This is episode 91 of the Weekly Wave, and my guest is Jeffro Jam. He is an actor, musician, masseur, and many other things. Every time I ask him, it seems like there's something I forgot from this list, but he is a powerful presence and a wonderful dude. So without further ado, Jeffro Jam. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Jeffro Jam. Thanks for coming on, my friend.
Hey, double peace.
Hey, man, it's again, you know, when someone enters into your life, a new friend, you never know the gravity of that person's being, and you, sir, come with a gravity that you don't feel with a lot of people. So thank you again for sharing that with me and sharing that with the folks that are going to be watching this. It means a lot.
You're very welcome.
It means the world.
Yeah, man, right on.
Just to pick up where we were just talking, and you know, it's amazing when we look at our heroes, especially the folks that decided to put their whole being into the music, to say that I'm going to fulfill every corner of need for this song. You lose some of the redundancy that might water down a lot of musics we listen to. I was listening to a wonderful YouTube show by a guy named Tom Budacek, I think. Budacek. And he's a wonderful session guitarist out in Nashville. And he was talking about the White Album. And he said, if you take that bass part out, the guitar part's not going to make sense. You know, if we lose the drums, you lose everything. These parts are so integral to each other that alone they may not look like anything. But together, they are everything. Versus sometimes when I sit down and I decide to play bass after I just play guitar on something, I just layer right behind it the exact same thing. And the song is not asking for more in that space. It's asking for companionship in the same way that we long for that. So in that kind of a way, when did you begin your journey to be the companion to the song you are? When did you become that kind of listener in the music?
I as an artist, I didn't know that was the suit I was going to end up wearing. I was a kid, your typical kid that was influenced by the records and 8-track cassettes that were available that my mom would have around, and emulating what I thought that these heroes looked like according to the poster on the inside. You know, I'm in front of the mirror with a tennis racket or vacuum extension hose with it hooked to a belt so I can get my funkadelic, whatever the spaceship music is supposed to look like, that band. And, you know, I do remember putting a Tupperware bowl around my head. So I'm a kid, so that thing is all kinds of room, and it's translucent, but it's green or yellow. So I got my space helmet on, but I'm playing and lip syncing to these songs that moved me so I can transport. And in my head, I want to be in this family of these artists that are doing music that move me, you know? So, you know, you got the slow songs, those R&B songs, you know, the good rock songs, and you got those groove, those instrumental jazz tunes. But there was nothing like that, those bands that teleported you to another space that has either already happened, ancient time, history. Let's build the pyramids together. Yeah. Thank you, Maurice White and Earth, Wind & Fire. Or to the future, okay? We are building our second condo on Jupiter. We are taking reservations now, which, you know, and they at the time, as a kid, you know, in the late 70s, these were my two favorite bands. So I didn't know that that's what I really wanted to do. You're a kid, you know. Some people, you know, when you go to the doctor, he gives you that, so what do you want to do when you grow up, you know? I really didn't know, because to say I wanted to be in this band on a spaceship or, you know, rock band on the Nile getting down. So I said the typical fireman, you know, I want to be a teacher. Oh, good for you. Mm-hmm. That's good, you know. And even to this day, it's still hard to really convince people that I'm serious about what I do now, because I am actually hooking up hoses to my belt and wearing space helmets, and it's real. Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool.
It's definitely, well, I very much I had a similar experience of standing there with an instrument, looking at yourself in the mirror, and trying to reimagine yourself to fit the profile of your heroes. Like there's this great leap to be made in life that as a kid you can't imagine that time will help you start to chip away at the things that separate you from those people. But it's only in the pursuit of the song that you realize how not only human your heroes are, but how impossible the task can be, and how greatness is just taking another stab at it, trying again. Like McCartney or Prince were never satisfied with the last song. It was never enough because when they looked in the mirror, they still saw that a leap had to be made to be that,
Oh, that's delicious.
Well, and the experience is so rich, man. There's not many times in my life yet where I feel like I've totally served the song, but it's in moments where you're doing so little, where you realize like, oh, that's it. That's the real service. Like the joy of having a home studio space for me right now is being able to fumble over things that I'm not inclined to be good at necessarily. Sitting down on a drum kit and trying to flesh out a part and realizing that I'm already doing too much. Is it just kick and snare, or is it just hats right now? Or for a keyboard part especially, like to put on a synth and to hold one note and it becomes translucent. You don't even realize that note's there, but it is the lift of the chorus, those magical things.
Yeah.
Last time we got together, we were talking about, the obscure shape that a synthesizer gets to take compared to other instruments. It is the one perfect sine wave that never stops. And how you get to manipulate and feel that thing in the air. What was it like when you got your first Mini Moog and you got to truly start to shape to the fullest sense of the abilities? We talked about your first Casio, but to have all the training wheels taken off and to be able to totally carve out what you wanted.
Wow. Okay, that's great. I had a band. My cousin and I and one of our mutual best friends had a 3-piece band, and this is in high school. And collectively, our heroes at the time, our sound was best described as we are a combination of Prince, The Time, Funkadelic, The Cure, Depeche Mode, and there's another group in there. But we were like, we're not trying to sound like them, but that's who we are able to touch upon. And my cousin happened to be in the Army Reserves, I do believe. He was down in Mississippi or Alabama. Partial stories here,
Yeah.
But he calls me. This is 1987, maybe 87. And cousin, there is a keyboard hanging in the window of this pawn shop. He didn't know the name of it at the time. For him to even say it was a Moog wouldn't have meant anything to me, because although I was familiar with its sound, I didn't know the source then. So at the time, the hottest keyboard about to come out was the M1, the Korg M1 keyboard, So, but we did have a DX7. We had some other things, the DW 800, 8000. So, but he said it has more knobs than the Millennium Falcon. Buy it. Get it.
Yeah.
He's like, you sure? Get it. He goes, it looks old school. It's got all this wood on it. I'm like, get it. So he did. And he brought it in. And it was so foreign to us because we were coming into the age of digital and MIDI. Okay. So for this to be a true analog synth, we were limited on what we could do without a manual. So when we tried to implement it into our lineup of sound, really all we could do was get sound effects like wind and explosions and lasers, all the grit and the grime. And we tried our best to get some melody and some, control. So here we are jamming. Yeah. But it did its part. So we thought it was broken. So we really thought this thing was damaged. That's why you got a good deal on it. The thing was damaged, but I moved to Las Vegas in 97, and my cousin gifted me this board. He's like, you know what? If anyone can make her do its thing, it's you. I grant you, and I christened her Darling Nikki.
Yes.
That's her name. She's not my keyboard. It's my girl. She's not my side chick. She's my chick. And taking her, I had no intentions on becoming a musician when I went to Vegas. I went to become to get into television commercials and do theater. So I brought Nikki just to keep me grounded. Headphones, no amp, no pedals, nothing, and just so I could, after work, I could dial in and just disappear. And that's where I really got to discover some of her tricks. And it was like, after you spend time with the women you've been flirting with for a very long time, she gives you a little bit of time. She might let you take her to the movies, but you better drop her off before, it gets dark, It's, no goodbye kiss. I'm going to give you everything, And that's how it was. Little secrets would come out. I'm going to let you see a little bit of thighs sometime, And I would learn how to use the modulation wheel, finding out that some of the oscillators, we're getting nerdy here now, sorry,
No, please.
But some of what I figured why we thought it was broken, the third oscillator on the Mini Moog, it has 3. The third oscillator was set to its lowest speed. So we weren't getting that pulse. It wasn't being activated because it was too low. So for those, just in layman's term, the Mini Moog to me is just a vehicle to manipulate vibrations. You can do whatever you want. Once you get a vibration, you can turn it into a melodic tone or a sound effect. And for example, you get that thing so low, it sounds like this. And you have the option of speeding it up. That's a tone. So I'm going to keep it there. And now, thanks to Bob Moog and his ingenious head, you can apply that to using this keyboard here. Cool. What if I make it faster? And add some glide and open that filter up. Now I want to slow it down again. It's the same vibration. You just have the world to do whatever you want with it. And she started saying, I like you enough. And here's this trick over here. Now add this and do this and twist that and do that.
Man, looking back on that experience, are you happy that it came with no manual? That it made you wait in that kind of way?
Absolutely.
And I think to personify, to give it the grounds to be your person, that the greatest thing about that experience is the patience, the fulfillment of watching this thing come to life underneath of your hands and feeling yourself come to life with it. It is we that oscillates at this speed. So going back down that nerdy path, I have a couple more questions because I don't necessarily understand the signal chain of a Moog. So is the 3 oscillation stages the beginning stages of its sonic quality? Is that where the signal begins?
No, because you can take the oscillators, switch them off, and use a noise filter, pink or white noise, and you still have control. Excuse me. The oscillators are the source of... That's a tricky question because I can have all 3 oscillators turned off, but still can get sounds by using the white or pink noise, open it up for a splash or a wave, a wind, or tighten it to make it sound like a snare. And that's where a lot of artists were able to sample the Moog just as it is. You can get a deep tom drum by never turning any oscillator tones on. So you can get a doom just from how you're manipulating your frequency and cutoff, boom, boom. And then you got to do your magic combination to get your snare, boom, psh, boom, 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 and it's all there for you. You can open it up, boom, boom, make it type. You can get your deep gong, boom, deep dubstep, and you haven't even messed with the oscillators. This is all frequency and noise modulation, manipulation. Now, when you open up the second and the first and second oscillators, that's wonderful. You can get harmonies there because it's a monophonic synthesizer, one note at a time. So you got to do a lot of work. You're not getting chords out of it, but you can create chord simulation by changing the pitch of either the first or second oscillator. Boo, got your second one. Boo, here. So whatever, resonance works to where it's a chord that you want, then that's your chord to play with throughout the board. Now the third oscillator is what made it the beast. The third oscillator, you can either add it in tonally, so you can get a third voice, okay? And then with each one of those, you can change its octave, okay? So you can have it be all monotone, but just different pitches, different keys, or they can be different octaves and keys. So you can have a 3-voice range. Or if you turn the oscillator knob all the way down to its slowest wavelength, it becomes a control for the modulation. That's where it becomes beastie. So now your modulation wheel controls the other 2 oscillators. When you include that third oscillator, the mod wheel is now inactive. So you have to choose, it's a lot of, I'm sure it's beautiful to watch. Because for me to watch this underneath me happen, it's, let's follow back on your question so I can answer it more directly.
Well, no, I think
the signal path. So it starts from it goes from tone of the oscillators into your envelope filters, and then I do believe tone, oscillation, and then frequency modulation, and then out. I do believe that's the signal path. Wow, I'm going to get a look at that now.
It's so interesting to think of. Underneath of this is a board that for the father, the Moog, is linear, but for the user it doesn't necessarily seem that way, I'm sure, until you get to a certain level of mastery with the instrument. Until then, it's finagling, and you don't know if you're at the start or the end of the line. You just know it's different.
That's right.
But for a monophonic synth to now have these interactions of like harmonic saturation and self resonance, it's kind of like the interaction of the band in the air in front of the band. Like, you have no idea from the impact of that first guitar note what that and the bass are going to sound like, because they have communion together in that space. And it's so cool the way that in the way that you're describing it, you can apply these first 2 oscillators and get this, would it be a 3-note shape at that point?
If you include the third oscillator, yes.
Okay. So if you're just doing the initial 2 oscillations and then the modulation wheel, you just have a certain interval of harmony. And then with the modulation wheel, is that chromatic? Or are you just bending, by cents and half steps on that singular note?
So you have your pitch and modulation. So, and with the Mini Moog, the original series, there was no center spring back for the pitch wheel. So you had to find your own center, and there might be just a little divot stop, home base.
Yeah.
But you could easily pass it, and mine had worn off a long time ago. So you really have to have a really tight ear when it wavers out of tune, because that's why they were synonymous with going out of tune. And a lot of players are, you know what, that thing's so unreliable. It can go out of tune because the lights just came on. It can go out of tune because the temperature just changed. It can go out of tune because, Tina, the blues singer, hit a note and that thing, she just went crazy. And it's true. She's very sensitive, like taking an acoustic instrument, a cello, a violin, from a cold car to a warm stage or vice versa. You need time for it to get acclimated. In the owner's manual, it says, let your Mini Moog warm up for 25 to 30 minutes before playing. Wow. So the oscillator's got to warm up. Those copper wirings got to get, so that's real. And if it goes out of tune, you have to be able to be quick to bring it back, or wait till the next song to catch the train to get in there, And I have been practiced and trained myself to be able to get in there and use that pitch wheel to get me right back where I need it. If she falters, it's probably another reason why we got it so cheap, because they thought it was broken. It was going out of tune.
Yeah. Well, it's such a crazy aspect of it, because most of the time you would assume that any kind of, keyboard, you sit down at it, and besides a Wurlitzer, like C is C. That should not, change at all. So this human aspect of it, where it's got to get acquainted with the space. It's got to get comfortable in the room. Would you say that's what drew you to love it more in time? Or was it the game of trying to get to know it and trying to master that?
I could say yes to both. It was... When I finally got introduced to synthesizer, the Moog line, and in particularly the Mini Moog, Darlin' Nikki, Model D, 1977. I'm not going to tell you her serial number, but I got it memorized.
You're a dirty dude. You're a dirty dude.
Knowing that I would hit certain sound patches that I create, and I would instantly be transported to one of those songs on the vinyl record, 8-track, cassette, whatever, that I heard from my childhood, or, not too long ago in the 80s funk and, b-boy music,
Yeah.
That sound came from this board. It was not a sample. It was not a simulation from another keyboard. It was from this sound, and I created that. Oh my gosh, that's the sign outro to Swing Down, Swing Low, Sweet Chariot by, Let Me Ride, that Dr. Dre sampled. So you get excited when you hit these combinations that this was the source of that sound, and you have that power to create it right then and then add your own to it. So that became a challenge to... For example, if I listen to 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s old school radio, and it became a game. If I hear a song, I can recognize if there's a Moog in it. And I put together a playlist of songs that I would have never really paid attention to, that I've loved, that have Moog in it, whether it be the bass line, be a little melody drone, or a lead doubling up with the guitar or something, but I'm able to pick it out. And it's so much fun. So much fun. Yeah.
And within, so you've taken this journey from, your first Casio synth, if you would call that a synth, or was that more of a keyboard in your mind?
So my first keyboard wasn't the Casio. That's what I went to get, what I thought I wanted that day, and was in path to get, because I promised my mom I'd bring my grades up for this $60 pocket Casio keyboard that I wanted, but it wasn't until I walked into Radio Shack, and behind this velvet rope was this other thing altogether. And it was much bigger and more elaborate, but it said realistic MG1 on it. It did not say Casio pocket keyboard, but this thing had knobs. Knobs over buttons, and that was my first synth, the MG1, which I later found out 20 years later, after having that first keyboard, that it was also made by Moog Company, and they actually designed it and helped Radio Shack get into the musical, the electronic music scene and gave them their own secret name, Realistic. So Realistic was the brand, and they put out really good microphones and headphones and equipment under Realistic. But it was Moog helping with the synthesizer side of that.
That's crazy.
So that was my introduction to, and it was, yeah.
And is that based out of is the Asheville Moog factory the original Moog factory, or?
No, Asheville is the second home. It's in New York. New York, where's Big Briar? There was a name change temporarily while they changed locations. I can't remember, but mine is from the original factory. I still have the sales sticker on the inside, and I still have the my cousin found and gifted me the sales receipt.
That's it's hard to tell in the present what is precious and sentimental and what is, passable materials. The fact that he kept and found this receipt is such a beautiful testament to the moment that this this being falls into your life, and holy matrimony brings you two together, man.
Like you wouldn't believe.
It makes me grateful. I get to hear. I still haven't heard you play Nikki, but I in time. So I would wonder. So I got to see you play your guitar, which mind-boggling, because I've never seen someone manipulate a keyboard in that kind of a way. Because most of the time when you see someone play a guitar, it's more of just enabling them to be up in the front, rocking with the guitar players, versus you approached it as someone coming from, right hand on the keys, left hand on the panel. Is that correct?
Correct.
So to now have your free hand be on your wheel, and does your guitar have something on the back that your thumb can manipulate?
There is volume, so I can fade in and out. Mm-hmm. It's pitch wheel, pitch bar, and a modulation bar, and then there is there's an I-beam, an I-beam light that you can assign to whatever you want, whether it be modulation or pitch. So the I-beam, are you familiar how that works?
No.
So an I-beam, it's like a tiny, like a Christmas light, but inside of it are two lasers facing this way, and when something hits the apex of those light conjunctures, it activates whatever you assign it to. So to save my whatever I'm doing with my left hand, I can do it with my right hand. I can, for example, wave my hand over the I-beam, and it can bring up the volume. So I'm holding a chord, or assign it to modulation. So it's just
So it's almost similar to like what's a theremin?
Correct.
That's crazy.
That is correct.
Well, it's such so many keyboard players would have a hard time adjusting from this is C, that is what C sounds like, to someone like yourself who this is just a place on the board. I can modulate wherever I want to go with that. And we had talked a little bit about your lessons. You said you got a week of lessons.
That's right.
And did you ever get any kind of training outside of your own personal exploration after that?
Not for keyboard. I found myself being forced by my best friend. She made me audition for show choir. And she gave me one of those Fred Sanford, you auditioning, you getting in. And so through show choir, everyone was taking it seriously. It was a big deal to be, we had a very good rep of having a really tight show choir, and they would win competitions and everything. And wasn't my thing. I never thought I was a good singer, and still don't. I'm not a good singer. I can carry a note and I can put it in a suitcase and carry it across the street and I can be fancy with it. But I'm not all that great with it. But I am a stylist. And we had to learn harmonies, chord structure, but I was never retaught how to apply that on the piano or keyboard. So vocal lessons, yes. For choir, yes. Could I tell you what chord that is now? No.
Yeah. Well, it's beautiful when someone is they're given the vocabulary, but how you get to saying this or emoting that to arrive there on your own gets you the space in between the space. That is all the sex appeal. It's all the human aspects of it. It's like, especially if you're talking about an instrument that isn't going to fall in the same place every time. You know, like the Moog is going to be alive and present to you. How you go from point A to point B may change every night depending on the room. But the fact that you go there together is a really cool thing, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
So when you move to Vegas and you have this alone time with the instrument, when's the next time that you step into a project to apply that partnership?
My introduction to the music scene to Vegas started with a simple invitation to a blues jam. I'm staying at the Budget Suites hotel where you spend $235 a week. You know, my best friend and I, he left his rock band here in Columbus, and he convinced me to move to Vegas. That's a totally different show, an amazing story. I can't wait to star in my own movie about just the trip from Columbus to Vegas. But someone said, "Have you ever been to the Double Down Saloon?" Never heard of it. He said, "Man, this is this great dive bar. It's the ultimate dive bar. Every day of the week there's something going on. Mondays, biker night. Tuesdays, this night. You got this night. One night's gay night. You know, just don't get them mixed up. You come in with your colors on biker night, and then, you know, it's like, but Wednesday is blues night. And they have this open jam, and there's this cat there. His name is Bill Cherry, and he's got this band, and they are sick, and you should go." So check it out. So I didn't even have a case for my board, you know. I wrapped her up in a hotel towel.
A Budget in Suites towel.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. You got to keep it protected. So I go and see this. Do we have a second to
yeah, you have hours, brother.
So this is, I go into the spot, and this bar, it is classic Vegas. So they have tube televisions, okay, little small ones, playing it in different places. They are all playing porn. That's, you know, okay. There is a little, like you see at Kmart, you know, a gold circle back in the day. The horse, you put a quarter in, you ride on the horse. So there's a little horse, and people get on there and ride a horse. You know, there is a sign over the bar, a cartoon caricature of a gentleman with his pants halfway down, bending over a glass, and there is, I'm just telling you, there's a drop of liquid going in this glass on this pitcher, and above it says, "Ass juice, the house drink. Don't ask." And it is customary that if it's your first time there, you have to order a glass of ass juice. So it was their version of a Long Island iced tea. And it was actually pretty dang good. It was purple, but don't ask, because they'll get mad at you if you ask.
Yeah.
But it was quite delicious. So I'm looking at this ass juice and hoppity horse, and, you know, but then the band, there's this white cat, old school. Gosh, he might have been in his late 50s, 60s then. I don't know, maybe even pushing 70. Braided white hair, you know, real hipster dude, but he was so smooth. And his band, the players in his band, he had this guy, the guitarist. His name was Charlie Tuna. Charlie Tuna was clean, shoes always shining. He played with his, he played slide with a bottle on his guitar, just smooth, man. I'll tell you more about Charlie Tuna in a minute. And the drummer was about, God, he had to have been like 7'1", 7'2", big, tall, dark-skinned brother, had missing front teeth, smile like this. He's smiling. And he had his long arms. And these cats were, just sick. And so I go and I watch them do a song, and then, Bill Cherry goes, all right, that was good. All right. We're going to get another song in here. Let's see, Steve-O, I saw you come in. You come on and get some. Chris back there on the guitar. Come on there now. Oh, that little white boy by the bar. I see you as a saxophone. Come on up. Bring me a whiskey. Come on up here. And y'all get down. And they get together and call a tune. All right, and it was, what? These cats never met, and they hitting it. And I'm like, wow. So at the break, I go to Mr. Cherry, and I said, Mr. Cherry, how you doing? I said, my name is Jeffro Jam, and I'm in town from Ohio, and I'm loving this. This is so much energy. It's beautiful. And you're looking at me, and I said, I was just wanting to know what does one do to possibly play? And he said, he goes, what you play, son? So, well, I play the Mini Moog. It's a synthesizer where I know what it is. Oh, yes, sir. Sir. He goes, you play the blues? No, sir. No, we play the blues here, boy. Yes, sir. Yeah. And then he looks at me like I'm auditioning for a job. He looks at my shoes and everything. Well, where is she? Where your Moog? Oh, it's outside. Okay, Jeffro. You do me 2 favors. Yes, sir. 1, don't embarrass yourself. Yes, sir. Number 2, don't embarrass me and my boys. Go get your shit. Okay.
It's great advice, man.
So I come out and, I don't have a keyboard standing thing, so I come out and I grab a bar stool, swivel stool, which ended up being cool because it reminded me of the first time I saw Fishbone. So, the keyboard players got cool. And so I'm walking in and these guys are looking at me, well, this guy's got a mini, he's at the wrong night. This isn't Thursday. This isn't a planetary invasion night. Why is he here? So I dial in and he said, you know when it's your turn. So, and the drummer, I turn back and Bugsy Wilcox, the drummer, he's like, oh, what's up? I said, okay. Got the funk sign. I know I'm on. So just going around, everybody's getting their solo. And then Mr. Cherry let me know I'm coming up next. And he said, and I opened it up. Nikki came out. She went like this. And metaphorically, she took her bra off and showed everybody what she was about. And the song was over. And I started to unplug. Where you going? I'm just going to, ain't nobody tell you to leave. You stay here till I tell you to leave. Yes, sir. I stayed up for the rest of the night. By the end of the night, I ended up getting about 9 phone numbers. Guys that didn't have cards were writing their numbers on napkins or didn't even have phones. Like, can I get your number? Because I want to, what are you doing next week? I have a studio. And that was it. That next week I was in the studio recording with my Mini Moog and ended up being in the place where I got to meet other musicians. And from that following week, I was in the studio and there was a young band recording. They heard me, walk by the glass and saw that guy's got a Mini Moog. I don't even know if that's it. He can play it, but he's got one. Whatever, we got to get him on the record. End up joining this band. We became the Las Vegas Funk Mafia, and it was beautiful. So I was able to, from that moment, implement the other extension of what I do in this world, which is share gifts. And I ended up playing in like 13 bands. I'm gigging on the Strip of Las Vegas, having contracts with different hotels and casinos and getting food and drink and getting a nice paycheck and just playing this ancient synthesizer in the land of lasers, lights, and lions. This dude's bringing that old school thing.
That's crazy, man. I also love the name Las Vegas Funk Mafia. What a great band name. Like, that's... So tell me more about Mr. Tuna. You're going to give me...
Bro, Mr. Tuna, because I would watch these guys come in. This is before I got implemented fully with these guys. Because I would come back. Make sure you come back. Okay, all right, I will. And I would see guys come in wearing cummerbunds, sequins, looking like Emerald City. Because they're coming from their gigs. They're playing in the band for, I don't know, David Cassidy or whoever, and they knew where they can get their release. Come to Bill Cherry's jam session, and they're taking off their cummerbunds. Hey, Chris, hey, what's up, man? Hey, come on, get some. And they'll just plug right in and get down. It's like, whoa. But let's fast forward. Charlie Tuna ended up becoming B.B. King's backup guitarist and toured with Charlie Tuna the last 5-6 years of his life.
Wow.
And yeah, and that's real. And Charlie always gave me props because when I moved to Vegas, I didn't have locks. I had maybe about this much hair. I think I was bald-headed at the time, but I had blonde eyebrows and beard and everything. And so I went to Vegas looking like I was different. They're like, oh, is that how they do it in Ohio? That's how I do it. So, but Charlie always credited me because he was older, old school dude, but he colored his hair blonde. And he's like, Fro, bro, you keep me young, man. You're like, I'm saying. But the other key player was Bugsy Wilcox. They ended up putting me in the band, and we became something Blues All-Stars. I don't remember. Bugsy Wilcox set me aside one day and said, Jeffro, he goes, I don't need to show you my resume. I don't need to show you nothing. But I'm going to show you. And he pulled out his literal discography of things he's recorded on. He goes, I respect you. That's what I'm going to show you. The top of the list, every name from at least 1 to 50, I listened to these records growing up. He was the studio session for Motown. His name is on the Jacksons records, the Temptations, the drum break in Brick House. That's Bugsy Wilcox. He got hired to do that. And his claim to fame, if that's not big enough, he was Marvin Gaye's drummer before he died. And I mean, you can look it up on YouTube. The live concerts is my dude up there in the 70s rocking with, Yeah. And it's so cool because when there was that controversy with Bruno Mars, there was a sampling issue. I do believe it was a Pharrell and Bruno tune. Is that right? Am I putting the wrong names to it? Yikes.
What was it? Pharrell in are you talking about hey hey hey?
Yes.
Okay. That's it'll come back to me, but I know the song you're talking about.
So that song, it was proclaimed that they sampled from a Marvin Gaye tune. Okay, and it's pretty tricky. You listen to it, and it's hard pressed to think that he came up with this melody without listening to this original Marvin Gaye tune. So there's a lot of stuff going on around that. Well, on Facebook, that year that came out, my friend Bugsy Wilcox came out of the woodwork, got on Facebook to say, you guys, basically is what he said, you guys really need to chill. He goes, all this, everybody's getting upset. Marvin wouldn't let anybody sample his stuff, and boom, boom, boom. He goes, it's all music. It's all love. We're supposed to share it. And you know why I'm speaking? Because I co-wrote that song. He and Marvin wrote that song, and he's like, so I have no beef with it. Why you guys tripping?
Yeah. That guy's name was Robin Thicke.
Robin Thicke. That's right. That's right.
I was talking to my buddy that was in here earlier, who's a DJ, and when you look at the world of sampling, when we question whether our heroes were adequately thanked, verbally and financially for what they do. If one of these guys is going without the pay they deserve for writing one of the most sampled drum fills of all time, or writing a melody that was so deep within somebody's soul that the next song they wrote, it came out, and it's a really hard line to walk. But what a beautiful testimony to the fact that this guy heard something that brought him to write this song. And just because it has an icon like Marvin involved in it, here's this humble servant of the music who didn't even tell you who he was up until he trusted you enough to say, like, I want you to feel affirmed that we are here together, and I love your playing enough to say, I was here for these things. Obviously it wasn't as much of a brag as it was a compliment to you that he trusted you
That's
enough
right.
to know that when he was in the room, it was the same feelings when you were in the room together.
That's right.
Still doing the thing, man. moving into such a serious scene like Vegas, did you feel like you were being asked for something different as a musician, or has your vocation in the music always been the same?
I've been able to keep my voice pretty much open and give my flavor with any project that I was in. They trusted me to add something different, because with my mini Moog, I also implemented another secret weapon, which is the talk box. Another one of my lifetime heroes, Roger Troutman, land of the birthplace of funk, Dayton zone. I had a talk box with me. So I was, as far as I know, at the time in Vegas, one of few, I never saw anyone using one, that was using the talk box. So I would be doing vocal tunes with the talk box, lead vocals, and it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool.
Would you give any advice to musicians at all stages in their career about how to find your voice in a way that other people want to hear, so that they don't need to be something else besides themselves? That the way that you've been able to keep true to your own sound and being in that. How would someone else achieve that?
You have to be open to take criticism, and then ultimately enjoy your stuff. Whatever you do, really like it for you. Really like it. If mom says you can go in the kitchen and make you whatever you want in that fridge, get in the cabinet, make you a sandwich, and you anything you want, and you pull out all the mayonnaise and you get sardines and you put some ketchup on it, and you get, let me get some you know what, get a bowl of cereal, put some cereal on there, because she said I can have anything. There's some organic honey, got the avocado. You don't even like avocado, but you're gonna make it the mushiest. Okay, eat it. But she says you better eat it. You better eat it. You got to be prepared to eat the sandwich that you make. You got to like it enough. If not, make something that you like and make it so that you get full every time. Don't make something that's going to make someone else happy and full until you are happy and full. Then you can keep going.
That was one of the grossest, most beautiful metaphors I've ever heard. Talking about avocado and ketchup and sardines. You nasty, Jeffro. You crazy. But, so many people say, like, this is the bed you made, you must sleep in it. And that has a negative connotation in this life. Versus, to phrase it like that, to say, like, if you're not going home full, fulfilled, then why just show up in the first place? And maybe there's something special about the sonic realm that you come from, that there's liberties in that other positions in the band may not be able to necessarily fulfill. Like a drummer has a different ask, a bass player has a different ask in the band, but still everyone has a version of that they can eat and feel full and find that in themselves. So I will definitely benefit from that. Hopefully many others will. Now, I'd like to hear this story about going from Ohio to Vegas, unless you're saving it for some kind of short film in the near future.
Oh, man.
Also, we did talk about, if anyone wants to do a cartoon reenactment of any Jeffro's stories, just make sure he gets adequate credit in great cartoons.
If you're good, we can work.
Yes.
I've got stories.
Yeah, we're looking for Mike Judd, actually.
Yeah, go to the top. That's good. Wow. So you want to go into the Vegas story?
I would love to hear all of it.
All right. Well, the whole path was epic. I'm not even kidding. It's a movie, just my adventure in Vegas. And my movie may be I Survived Vegas. Something.
I think you conquered Vegas to some extent. If you came back more whole than ever,
Well, okay. So many layers of how I was able to do it. So my best friend at the time, he convinced me to move to Vegas. And why Vegas, you ask? Well, I am, if you don't know, I am an actor before I'm a musician. Acting's my first love. And once I got into theater and show choir in high school, I became the jock of the stage. I tried all sports. I just wasn't into competing that way. It took my best friend since junior high, the skinny nerd, thick glasses, played the tuba. I had to listen to him rehearse. We got the beat, and another one bites the dust for 2 hours while I'm playing Atari. Will you hurry up so we can go roller skate? But I ended up joining this is one example. I got on the track team, and I'm on the track team. Man, this is great. I always wanted to be on the track team. And then a week later, my best friend is on the track team. Cool. What made you? Oh, you were in it. I wanted to. That's cool. Come to find out, he was faster than me. We've never had a reason to race. We'd fish, we'd wrestle, camping, but we've never raced. He was faster than me. That kind of hurt my feelings.
And he followed you there just to show you, bro.
Yeah. So and then I joined the swim team, the diving team, and I only did that because of the girls. Yeah, I got to, I'm with the girls, man, and they were happy. Jeffro's on the swim team. Oh my God, this is amazing. We are going to be killing it. This is awesome. Yeah. Well, they were not happy with me when they found out I couldn't hold my breath as long as they could. You're nothing to them if you can't hold your breath. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's actually like something in the Avatar movie. Just like that seems familiar. So I quit, Anyway, I found my niche with theater, and theater became my thing, and I became a professional actor and was doing live theater with the traveling theater company, and it was great. But it was time. There was a break where I didn't have any obligations and moved to Vegas. But before I moved to Vegas, my friend was telling me, he's like, Vegas, why Vegas? So, well, check it out. You want to get into commercial work, TV commercial and theater. We're not going to go to New York or LA. Why not? That's where it's happening. We're close to LA. You don't have to be in the hustle and bustle of LA. It's a quick drive, quick flight. You can get your auditions and come back and be away. And that makes sense, So we went out there. His ambition was to become take over the world with the trumpet, be, the next Chuck Mangione, and he was going to do it because I believed him. And I was going to be in commercials selling whatever just with my face.
Smooth as butter.
Buy some of this.
You could have been Fabio.
No, well, I got to tell you this. My former roommate, we lived in Dublin, Ohio, and he left to pursue his acting career in California. And I wished him luck, and he was gone. Didn't hear of him for 3 years later. I'm on tour with my theater company. We finished the show. We're at some bar in New York, just at the bar and having a brown liquor. And I'm looking at the TV screen, and I'm looking at the TV screen, and I look at the TV screen, and I see someone that looks familiar. I'd be dang. It's my old roommate in the Sprite commercial. And it's a classic Sprite commercial. And I'm, what? So just that reinforced, okay, he can do that. I can do it.
Yeah.
I can do it, and that was no brainer for me. So I'm like, Vegas is going to get hit, and we were told to grab whatever cash you had, get enough clothes for a week, and grab one thing you can't live without. All right, got my cash, I got my clothes, and what can I live without? Yep, Nikki, you ready, baby? Oh, I'm ready, honey. Get my makeup and my shower cap. Come on, let's go. So we drove from our last meal in Columbus was with my mother, Mama Jam. She had pizza. We had pizza, ate pizza, said goodbye and hugged. And we drove from Columbus. And I literally, and I'm not joking, drove the whole way. Never looked back. I never looked back to go, man, I'm going to miss this place. Man, wow. Never. It was, bring it. And we drove Seattle and Utah. I mean, I'm in the land of Bugs Bunny and Roadrunner. All the rock formations and all the colors. It was so surreal, wow, me, yeah, man. It's crazy. And what is that legendary road, dirt road that's Route 56? Is that it?
Route 66 or
Route
50,
66. Yeah, we're on Route 66, you know. It's pretty cool. And we almost broke down. You know, we got there in the 83 Honda. And the night we got there in 36 hours, okay? From Columbus, Ohio to Vegas in 36 hours. That's how determined and hungry we were to get there and make it happen. And it's in September, it's August, because it's still summer. August of 97. And just like in the movies of Vegas scenes, we're coming around the mountains, and there's a hill in the dip. And once we pass that crest of the hill, you can see the hue of the lights in the distance. And I started crying because that just said, that's my new home. That's my new home. And I could hear all this music. You know, this beautiful music in my head, like, come on, man, this is yours. You know, it's so awesome. We get into the city, and it's a Saturday night. It's not the best night to try and find a hotel room. And we drove around for about 2 hours trying to find a room. And by this time, it was 12:30, 1 o'clock. And everything was sold, and the rinky dinks won the triple charge, and we finally had to go to the hood. Went to the hood to get a motel, and the guy was charging us way too much, but we had no choice, and we had to rest. You know, we had to rest, and the guy wouldn't even let us have a key. He said, "You need back in, you let me know." What you need out for? I let you out, I let you in. Okay. Oh, whoa. So we get there, mattress is, the water's brown, couch has got springs and stuff in it. It just smelled like mildew, you know. It was bad. And we vowed, we paid attention that next morning. We said, look, guys, look at this. This is our lesson. We will never see this ever again. This is the bottom that will ever be. This is it. So all the way up from here. And we, in order to continue thriving, if we wanted to really get in it, we had to sacrifice something. Day one, we had to pawn something so that we can get money, so that we can go to a regular rental and be comfortable. So we pawned. I put Darling Nikki in the pawn shop. He put his trumpet in the pawn shop. The other friend put his $1,500 bicycle in the pawn shop just so we can have a down payment to get the budget suites. And it was we had there were three of us, and one guy had to hide in the car when we were sitting trying to get a room, because if they knew that we had more than two people, they were going to charge us for, you know, so we had to, the whole time, like there were only two of us, and there was one bed, a couch, and we made a deal. We said we will rotate. Whoever gets a job first gets the bed. So we said, let's take the next few days off. Come Monday, whatever the next day was, so we took a few days off. We took a week off. That next Monday, everybody hit the pavement. First one to get the job gets the bed, and we, go from there. All right, cool. So let me tell you this, and then, you sure you have time?
We have all the time in the world, brother.
So it was beautiful. We got to go to the mountains and go to Mount Charleston and Red Rock way before they got tapped in with casinos and hotels and tourist rides. It was raw, Mm-hmm. Got to see, what are those things called? The other word for donkey, those wild donkeys out there.
No idea.
Oh, yeah, boy. Don't look them in the eye. Trust me. Yeah. And don't go to their babies. They don't like that. So we got to rest the weekend before that whole week. Let me show you where we were. This is when have you been to Vegas?
No.
Okay, so let me tell you, the view of our little patio of our apartment faced the Strip, so it's about a mile and a half away. Okay, only a mile and a half. It's freaking Las Vegas Boulevard. Mm. The Luxor Hotel, which is shaped like a pyramid, that's its draw. They were still constructing the big light on it. The ultra, every casino has to have its little thing, a roller coaster or, pirates jumping up or, big lion, well, this was a pyramid that was shooting up to outer space. And we were watching that light being tested, and they still had the crane up there. I'm like, cool, I wonder how bright that's going to be when they get it. It's going to be cool. So I got to see that. And it ended up being too bright. NASA had to tell them, you need to tone that down. No kidding. No kidding.
That is a mile and a half from your place. Would it light up your apartment?
No, not at all, because it was a direct beam going up. So we weren't affected, but you could see this pure light beam, lighting up the whole sky. It was beautiful. It was pretty awesome. And they did tone it down. It's crazy. Can you imagine this aliens up there like, yo, these sunglasses are not working. They're just still coming through. Hiding their third eye. Oh. So I said, you know what? It's coming upon the days we got to hit the pavement. So I gotta get ready, get equivalent to Rocky on them. So there was a series of railroad tracks parallel to our apartment, and I started getting my little jog thing going. So I started running in the morning or in the afternoon, run a couple miles and run back along with the train. Train come by, he give me the ooh, yeah, all right. So this one Saturday. It was a Saturday. It was a week after we had moved. I'm running down the path, feeling really good, man. And when I jog, I like to have a Halls, Halls mentholyptus.
Okay.
So I can breathe through my nose, helps clear out my passages, so I can get my, So I'm.
You hold this between your teeth, you're saying?
Yeah, you hold it in the mouth and to help you breathe and control breath, cool, it's refreshing. So I had a Halls, and I said, I'm going to save this from the way back. So I put the Halls in my, had cherry flavor Halls, put it in my sock. So I'm running, choo-choo train goes by, woo, 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 thank you, man. And then I look to my right, west, I see mountains. I head west towards the mountains, okay? Railroad tracks, I leave the railroad tracks, and I cross desert. I continue to go. You know what? I'm going to go to the mountain. That's it. I'm going to the mountain. If I make it to this mountain, I'm going to own this city. So I have to complete this path. So I'm running. Boom. Got my nice jog on. Good. It seems to be getting further away. I find that behind me, I can no longer see buildings. I am really in the desert. I'm seeing cactus. I'm seeing those roly-poly, those things you see in Western movies blowing in the wind.
Yeah, man. What do you even call that?
Dust wheels or whatever they are. And I swore I saw snake paths, they're little in the sand, a trail of a snake. And I really started to get scared because when I realized I can't see behind me and that mountain's not getting any closer, I have a choice. Turn back now or follow my path. I prayed on it real quick. I threw up some meditations on it real quick. Give me the strength to follow this through. I heard the go ahead. So I kept going. I started making up gospel songs in my head. He's got your back. You can make it, Jeffro. So I was running, watching my pace. And I ended up crossing the freeway. I'm like, yeah, there's life. Cool. So I ended up crossing the 6-lane freeway. 6-lane, like a real. But the mountains are on the other side. I had to keep going. Across this freeway. And as I get closer to the mountain, it doesn't look as pretty as it did in the distance because it's all rock, and it's my path is kind of jagged now. But I gotta make it. I get to the base. It's really looking ugly, but it's a mountain. It's what I wanted, and I made it. But I wasn't done. I have to at least climb it. So I get up there, and I climb, and I climb, and I climb, and I'm maybe about 20 feet from the top. I just couldn't go anymore. There was a perfect perch for my butt to sit in, and I got to sit in and lean back on the rock, and I got to look. I couldn't see the needle, the stratosphere needle, nothing. Could barely see the highway. It was gone. nothing. But I did it. I did it. Okay. I went for my reward, get my halls, and I looked down and I saw red. And I got scared. I thought I got bit by a snake or hurt myself and I was bleeding. Little did I know that was my halls that melted to nothing. It was nothing but gooey red wrapper. So my only salvation was to put on my lips. I had nothing to drink because I wasn't planning on being gone. All I had was that. And then I started getting scared because I looked out and realized how long it took me to get here. I still got to get back. This was before cell phones. I didn't tell my roommate where I was going. I didn't know where I was. There was no road in or out that I could see. I started to get scared and I prayed again. If you get me out of here, I am your dude. All things you need me to do, I'm on it. I'll step in line first, but you can get me out of here. You know, it's like, I know I asked for a favor before, but this part 2 has to happen for it all to work. So I didn't know what was going on. Then out of nowhere, I see this dust start to swirl up and I realize it's a vehicle. It's a pickup truck. Yo, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Yeah. So it's a truck coming through, in the desert. Then it stops, starts doing crazy donuts. And then I get terrified. Okay, all right, that's not good. That's some mafia action going on. And you know what? That is all bad.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what to do. So I froze. Truck stops. Passenger side opens. It's this old man. The driver's side opens. It's this little kid. His grandfather teaching his son how to drive, letting him drive in the desert. So when I saw that, I went, this is it. Got my strength, made it down the hill, and they're about 200 yards away. And I'm like, hey. And the guy swore he saw a mirage because he's looking, what the heck? Coming from a mountain, What is going on? The kid jumps back in the truck. He's all terrified. Hey, you okay? I'm like, yeah, man. I'm flashing pieces, look, and he goes, where'd you come from? That mountain. Yeah, but where'd you come from? Actually, that way. But, it's a long story. What are you doing out here? Oh, I ran. Well, where's your water? I didn't have any. He goes, man, well, you can't. Do you know where you are? I do now. Because, bro. So this is how 97, that period, 96, 97, there are a lot of things that were happening that were new, including bottled water. So bottled water to me was such a wild thing because it was a luxury. Okay. And I get in, he goes, get in here. And this truck is like, it's like the AC on an airplane. I was like, oh. Yep, right there. He has a cooler and it's filled with ice water, bottled ice water. And to me, that's like gold. I'm like, who are these people? And he said, help yourself. And and I think I almost got sick because I'm just, and the kid just looking at me like, how, who, where, what? What the Avatar? And I'm just as freaking out, but I just can't believe what is happening in real time, but I'm grateful, And the guy says, so where are you going? And I tell him, well, I'm staying at the budget suite. Just moved here, told him the whole story. And he goes, well, I'd be more than happy to take you as far as we're going, but I got to get my grandson back. So I'll drive you to the city limits. Whatever. So he takes me, and along our path, it's beautiful because I never would have known some of these things that he showed me on the way. On the way back, we passed these amazing homes, these big rock iron, what do you call them? Iron gates, and with the emblems on them. There's like magnificent. And he's telling me all the celebrities that live there. It's like, yeah, there's that guy and there's Andre Agassi's house. And if you look, you might see him back there on a tennis cart, And I'm looking, I saw his tennis cart. I'm like, wow, So they're living way in the back of Vegas, So he says, this is our stop. And he says to you, he goes, Jeffro, may God grant you peace and may you achieve all your goals. I wish you luck. I said, thank you. I can't thank you enough. And I don't know if I said this then, but it sounds fitting now because I try not to embellish any of this because it's all so unreal. But I think I said, I can't wait to tell the story and include you in it. I don't know if I said it in my head, but so I think I might be embellishing that. But it would have been cool if I did.
Yeah.
Because he's in my story. He's going to be in the movie. So where he dropped me off, I had to walk another 7 miles to get to the nearest bus stop. And guess what? Guess who didn't have any change on him because he wasn't planning on needing a bus. So I end up walking about 15 miles back home. And
after running how many miles? Did you ever approximate what this distance was?
no, and I tried to look it up on Google, and it's so distorted now because there are houses in that desert and stuff now, which is crazy, so crazy. But in order for that movie to be, these people got to move their house. We got to get this right. No simulation. I'll have a stunt double. Someone's running for me.
Yeah, knocking on a door like, hey, I almost died in your backyard one time. We're going to need to move this thing.
Actually, I'm dead there. So, so I made it back home, and my roommate was completely, whoa, dude, where you been? I just couldn't talk, and I immediately passed out. I slept for 48 hours. I slept. It could have been really bad. I was dehydrated beyond belief. And that next day, I went to the Strip, had me a little tie on, shirt, went to the New York Hotel Casino. First place I saw on the marquee, massages, top floor, whatever. Oh, yeah, well, let's try that. Bing, elevator up. Because, I'm a massage therapist as well. Okay. And I say, hi, I am here looking for a job, and I can't wait to work here. I said, wow, great. I said, may I speak to your manager? Sure. Introduce myself. Hi, boom. Do you have a license? I don't. I said, but I'm pretty good. She said, well, we can't hire you without a license, I said, well, if you may I give you a 2-minute sample of my work? Sure. So I take her hand and give her some action, and she looked at me and said, sir, I can tell you this. If you come back here, we can hire you, get you credit towards getting your license, because what you did is amazing. I said, I appreciate that, but I'm broke and I need money, so I thank you very much. And I left. And I went downstairs, not feeling bad, I was like, that's nice, credit's good, but I don't want to see that mattress and that brown water and that spring couch again, Yeah. It's like, so I go to a spot, I hear music, Motown music, booming. Come around the corner, all these lights. It's a restaurant called the Motown Cafe. 3 stories. I see in these plexiglass pillars the original Jackson 5 outfits, the Commodore's sequence boots, Diana Ross's, everything. It's like a museum, but it's a restaurant and a nightclub. There's a DJ spinning vinyl records, nothing but old Motown records, and the vibe is just crazy. And I'm smelling fried chicken, sweet potato fries, collard greens, chicken and waffles just going by me. What the heck? So I go to the bar, sit at the bar, bartender, redheaded, tall white guy, and he says, hey, how you doing? I'm good. I would like to get a job here. Let me get your application. Boom. Can I get you something to drink? Sure. Gives me a pink lemonade. He goes, that's on me. You'll enjoy it here. Yep. Long story short, I end up being the top server there for 2 years in a row before the Motown label got bought out by Polydor, and Polydor got bought out by, I do believe, MGM, and they folded. So there was one in Vegas, one in New York, and they were opening up one in Orlando at Universal Studios, and they made me a trainer to open up that. And that's when we got the news that, like, this just in, all you trainers, if you need to get back to Vegas, New York, your respective homes, cool. If not, 2 weeks on us, enjoy. And we got passes to all the amusement parks for free, and I got to meet amazing people, and that was, yeah. Anyway, so that was outside of the, up until me going to Vegas, Motown Cafe for my pink lemonade. Everything happened within 1 week of me being there.
Wow. And within 2 interactions, to find that both of them could have led you down very, very different paths, and you were just open to anything. Like, it's spectacular to think that you found yourself in a place that you would say is the only place you were meant to be, correct?
Correct.
You only get that way by dehydrating yourself and running 20-some miles or whatever into the desert. But were you some, okay, how long did you run track for?
Less than 4 weeks.
So you weren't conditioned to do this at all. This was just an odd feat of will and in the mind.
That is correct. And that wouldn't have meant anything because that was my junior year of high school. And this is...
Still, I think just the capacity to want to go there. Where did you get this devotion to the Creator, to prayer, that kind of intuitive interaction? Where does that come from?
Sure. From both sides of my family, deeply rooted in the Christian word. I have multiple ordained ministers on both sides of the family. And ironically, the two matriarchs of my family, the oldest members, happen to be uncles. They are bishops. And it is, wow, this is really wild that we're talking about this. I'm going to just say it so that it's recorded. I had a dream this morning, approximately 6 o'clock is when I woke up, but it included seeing the two of them in a church. And it was an image that I've never seen before because they've never been in the same building together because they're on opposite sides of the family. And it moved me so much because I wanted to see how are these two powerful people in my life. And they're super, super respected. And you know, they marry people. They do the funerals. So who is it that's speaking that they're both here to see? But I never got that. I never got to figure that out in my dream, and I kept chasing it. I kept waking up, going back in, trying to figure. But I was so moved that I FaceTimed my two aunts and shared this with them, so that it was documented that this went down. So anyway, so I've always been immersed in the word of faith, and it's how my parents met. Story goes, my dad saw my mom preaching, and then she sang, and he said, yeah, I'm going to start going to this church. But there was no question that I did not make that journey alone. Could I have? Faith kept me going. Because if I didn't think that there was something else watching over me, I wouldn't have made it. You got to believe. There's belief and know. If you believe in something, that means you have faith. But do you know it's true? No, but you're staying hopeful. When you know something, that's solid facts that you can sit on, close the book. It's known. So my faith, I believe that I have a responsibility. One of my responsibilities on this beautiful planet is to connect good people to other good people. I'm a conduit of positive energies. Whether I'm supposed to be a part of the conversation or union or not, I'm to connect it through music, theater, dance, song, poetry, whatever it is. Playing Farkle. Everybody get to this table. It's a dice game, man. It's going to blow your mind. Come on in. I got Farkle friends all over the world, man. I'm telling you, it's serious. But it is pretty awesome knowing that I am still in the game with these gifts. Young kids, call them kids, they're younger than me, okay? Because I've got the seasoning going on, I can call people kids, that I am still getting called to do what I do and add my fro flavor and still go outside the box and tweak a little modulation where you didn't know that there was room for modulation.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a wonderful place to conclude this. Jeffro, thank you for coming to my life, for coming out here today and sharing what you do. I look forward to sharing more in that with you as long as you choose to be a presence in my world, my friend.
Matthew, absolute pleasure, man. I appreciate you so much, and you're solid, man. I'll be back.
Jeffro motherfucking Jam, everybody, check it out. Holy shit, that guy has great stories and just a wonderful being in and of itself. So thank you, Jeffro, for coming on. Thank you to everyone for listening. Make sure you check out his schedule. Try to find out where he's playing. Go see one of his shows or just reach out. He is a wonderful dude and a great presence in my life, so I appreciate him stopping out. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. Drop a comment if you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you next week, everybody. Peace.